Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of A Respectful Conversation. I almost said welcome to another episode of Famous Secret Agent because my guest today is one of the team members for Famous Secret Agent, Stephen Zubricki. Say hi, Stephen.
Hey everyone.
So we're super excited for today's episode because it's like a big old Famous Secret Agent not reunion, it hasn't even started, but I'll say it now. The channel launches on October 1st, so that's super exciting. Cool. So, Stephen, what are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about travel and finding places in the world that make you say, wow.
Yeah, I like that. My buzzword for the podcast is passion, and Stephen's buzzword for where he wants to travel is wow.
It's true. It's true.
Cool. So, Stephen, how do you want to do this? Is it maybe why? Why do you want to talk about traveling?
I think why do I want to talk about travel? So one, I haven't done a lot of traveling in my life. So it's not like I'm like a travel expert and like I just want to talk about all the places that I plan on going to that are on my list, you know, because I'm a like American Airlines frequent flyer. Like, no, I'm not. I think COVID and staying in all the time and being at home has given me, and I think a lot of other people from like things I've read and things I've seen, like a little bit of wanderlust, like a desire to just like get up and move and do something different with their lives. And it's been kind of like a really, you know, it's the silver lining to everything, I think, is that ability and that chance to slow down and kind of evaluate where you're at, what you want to do, and if there's anything else that you could do, because you're allowed to kind of put everything that you are doing on pause and say, is this it, or are there other things? And part of what I've been able to do during COVID is go on a lot of hikes. And I love hiking. It's something that I really, really like to do. Like normally over the summer, I'm working at for a theater program and I'm directing for them, or I'm working admin stuff for them. And this year that was canceled due to COVID, and it was so sad. I dreamt it, like I had dreams that I was there like every week, but I instead got to spend a lot more time with my family. I got to go, my father and his collective siblings, there's a lot of them. They have a house up in New Hampshire that we were able to go to that I've been able to go like once or twice during the summer in the past like 10 years, but this was like the first time in almost 10 years that my summer wasn't like eaten by theater, and I was able to do, which wasn't a bad thing, but just I was able to kind of put my time and energy into different things, and so I was able to put it into family and nature a little bit. And I don't kind of describe myself as like an earth person. Like I wouldn't describe me as like earthy crunchy necessarily, but I really love the outdoors and wide open spaces and things like that. So I've, as like a very informal kind of challenge to myself, my girlfriend, and a couple of our other friends, we've been trying to go on like a weekly hike. And we've started doing that just around Massachusetts. So there's like a couple of really cool reservations 15 minutes away from me that I didn't even know existed. And there's some really cool state reservations further out on the South Shore in Massachusetts. And there's one, some of them are like right next to the highway, and all of a sudden you're walking a 7.5 mile trail and you don't realize that there's cars like 20 feet in the other direction. But so I've been doing a lot of that, and it's been really, really cool because even like in a place that's so close to the suburbs, I'm still able to take in nature in that way. And also there's some spots where there are also some really cool views. And those spots are where I find myself saying, wow. Anytime I personally like enter a really big wide open space, it looks so stupid, but everyone that like is with me, they'll literally see me. I'll throw my hands up and I'll just go, wow. And it's something like I don't know scientifically what's going on. If like there's a lot of dopamine going to my head or something, but like my whole like heart just feels like it opens and goes up to the clouds in the sky. And so it's just this moment of I don't know, happiness that I experience in those spots. And it also, it makes me feel like dramatic theory of criticism, wonder and awe for the world. And it's so, it's one of those things where you're at a loss for words while you're feeling it. It's just, it's a moment of pure feeling. And I don't always get those, you know? I get them sometimes when I'm watching theater. I get them sometimes when I'm watching like a particularly effective movie. I'll get them if you see like a really, really powerful news story, like really human moments. But then there are also moments that I have like connected with nature and the physical world around me. So that's why I want to talk about it. Because it's really on the mind right now. And I think the fact that COVID is going on right now and we're not able to travel, it makes it all the more important to like dream and hope and look forward to something. So when you asked me what we wanted to talk about, I said, oh, well, this might be a good opportunity to kind of go back to the book. Which I got from my girlfriend like years ago because we both wanted to travel. And have we gone to any of the places in here? No, but one of our favorite things to do is just like literally read descriptions of the 1,000 places to see before you die in this book, and just find those places that I think if I went there, that would make me say, wow. I'm gonna stop talking.
It's been on my mind the past few months that I think I'm going to be like an old lady that is a bird watcher, because I just love, like, even this morning I woke up, I do like a few minutes of yoga every morning. I walked over to the window with the view to put my yoga mat down, and then I look out the window and we have a little cardinal couple. And I think my heart feels the same feeling that you were describing whenever I see the cardinals. We have like a blue jay or two around. Actually, I think there might be two cardinal couples. And then we've had hawks lately, which is a different kind of exciting. And then
cardinals.
Yeah. And then even just like watching like mourning doves, or like, right now we have the neighbor that like is the yard across from us. There are a bunch of pigeons that sit on her roof every day, like 10 to 20 pigeons. And even then I'm like, good for you, pigeons. Like, you're just sitting, just appreciating the same view I'm appreciating. I love that for you. But then also she comes out lately and she throws rocks up and to get them off her roof, which I don't know why she does that. We're not doing anything to it. But yeah, nature's cool. It's nice to just like even just sit outside for a little bit, but you have this extra layer of seeing, like, for me it's the same stuff every day, whereas like you're going out and trying to see new things, it sounds like. Can I ask you real quick before we dive into the book a few places that you have been, that you've traveled to?
That I have traveled to?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. The most exciting place that I have traveled to is, I was fortunate enough that I got to go to the Bahamas a year and a half ago, which I had really mixed feelings about. I went with my girlfriend and her family, and they went to the Atlantis Resort, which, you know, you see the ads for it all the time. And I went there and I looked and I just said, wow, yeah. Right? Because it's massive. It's beautiful. What?
I've been there too.
Oh yeah.
Little.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's like another planet. Truly. But the reason I had mixed feelings about it, you know, is because when I walk, you know, away from the water slide, back into the hotel, through the casino, out the lobby doors, into the beautifully manicured garden, and down the driveway, all of a sudden I was in like extreme poverty. And right. that was like something that like
ate at me the whole time that we were there. Because there was one day that we did go outside of the resort and kind of downtown, if you will, and it was so different. And it put things in perspective a little bit for me in terms of privilege and stuff. But I don't know, that tugged at my heartstrings all the time. And then,
like I said, I went when I was little, and I wasn't able to realize this when I was there at the time, but we didn't leave the resort at all. But I still remember, I don't really remember too much from the resort, but I remember the airport, and I remember the drive there and how different it was. So that's funny. Same thing, just different.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing I like about travel, is that it introduces you to so many different people and places and cultures and terrains and animals and weather patterns. It's nuts. So if I had sub buzzwords to my buzzword for wow, it would be different and frame of reference, the things that we can learn about by going to places that aren't where we always are. Okay, so I went to the Bahamas when I was I was 10 or 11. I went to Ireland, and that's maybe my favorite vacation that I've ever gone on, because my grandparents, they took myself and my cousin, and then my grandparents we have a family that our family's friends with, and so those two grandparents took their grandson. So there were 4 grandparents and 3 grandsons. And so we went and we stayed at a bunch of different bed and breakfasts. We were there for a week. When at least with my grandparents, when you go somewhere with them, it's they just say, okay, have fun. And then they go do what they're doing, and you do whatever you want. So we got to and it's so different because it was, a lot of these places we stayed were more rural. So we went to one place that was a speed walking bowl. This bed and breakfast had beautiful nature walk that you could go down, and it led to this big field that opened up to a pond, and then there was a fence in front of the field, and it said beware of bull. And so my cousin and I, being the 10-year-olds that we were oh yeah, go in, go tempt the bull. And it was a massive field, and you couldn't always even see the bull. But so we would go over the fence and we would walk around in the field, and then on days when we saw the bull, we would bet each other to see who could go closer to it. And so I just remember when we were there one day and my cousin started going closer to the bull, and I was I turned around for a second, I looked at the pond or something, I turned around, he was running back at me, and the bull wasn't even moving, but he goes, it was speed walking, and he sprinted out of the field, and I don't think we went back in after that, but it was so funny. So we went to Ireland, and I guess I saw the Cliffs of Moher, and I didn't appreciate them because it was right after we got off the plane and I was exhausted, but that was an awesome place. What about you?
I was very fortunate to go on trips with school in high school. The first one we went on, I think, was my junior year. We went to England for a few days, which we mainly spent time in London, which is one of the places that I had always wanted to go to. I must have had a past life there, or multiple. And then after that we spent most of the time in France, and I didn't vibe with it as much. If I had a past life there, something bad must have happened. Because I wasn't vibing. But it was still super pretty. A lot of it was because we were on the road most of the time because it was countryside, and that's really what I remember, and I still remember appreciating that. Paris in particular was tough. I'm convinced that at least of any of the subway systems I've been on, the metro was just too much for me because there was so many people no matter what. In a train car. But otherwise we got to do a boat ride on the Seine at sunset, and then we walked up the Eiffel Tower right after that. Crazy stuff that I forget sometimes that I've done that, and I know that it's so many other people would really want to do that, and I'm whoa, cool. because that's the thing with travel for me, is it's like so such a break every once in a while, like of like what regular life is. And while like I appreciate that, sometimes too it's like jolting to me of being
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden I'm somewhere else, and like it's just weird. And then after France, we went to Amsterdam, which was super cool, and got to go to like Anne Frank's house. And Amsterdam's super pretty. So those are definitely the like pinnacle for me. I looked at a map the other day of the USA and was like, I really haven't been anywhere in the US other than like the part of the country I live in. You know?
Like New England, like, yeah.
Yeah, like New York, New
East
Hampshire,
Coast.
maybe Connecticut to like visit family sometimes, Florida, but that was only because of Disney. And then I went to Illinois one time because Chris Colfer from Glee was on a book tour and he had 3 stops in Illinois. So my mom, who I'm blessed to have in my life, drove me around Illinois to meet Chris Colfer 3 times. Okay, you want to dive into your book?
Okay, yeah. So I picked a bunch of places that I thought, I kind of realized that moments when I say wow are usually like moments when they're either like really wide open spaces, it's epic, or it's something that, and it usually is something that makes me feel small. So I tried to find experiences and areas or sites that would do that to me. And I hope that you, as we do this, will like look at a picture so we can say wow together or something, because like some of these places are just stupid beautiful. So the first place that I picked it's called One Man's Pass in Donegal, Ireland, and it's this pass that's only like one person wide, and it's in Ireland, right? So everything's lush and green and beautiful, and it's really high up, but it's like right nearby the ocean on a peninsula, and there's something about like being on a cliff that's like really narrow already with like this expansiveness around you and this massive ocean. I know it's also kind of anxiety inducing for me, but like that is like, where do you find something like that around here? You don't. That I found, and in the fall you can see the northern lights from there sometimes. It's kind of rare, but they said you can do that. Yeah, it's really cool, and it's all green and lush. I think of like the new Star Wars movies where Luke, the island where Rey trains with Luke. Like I know that's not where they filmed it, but it kind of gives me the same vibes.
Look at it.
And then the next place I picked, like I picked the Grand Canyon for like,
oh heck yeah,
very obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But then there's a place in Utah called Canyonland National Park, and one of the like few couple of places where there's zero light pollution. If you go out there, so you can do stargazing, and that's one of those. That's like just another area, right? Like I can look at a massive cliff, like something like the Grand Canyon or a really big waterfall, and say wow at that, and like all the things that are around me on the same surface that I'm on. But then looking up, like that's like a whole nother literally world that like because of light pollution and everything I never get to see. And so I've always wanted to go to a place where there is just no light pollution. You can see the entire night sky and everything else, and talk about like feeling small.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that'd be
being able to see all of them.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know why my first reaction is I didn't realize that there would be a place in America that wouldn't have any light pollution.
Well, like a lot of them, to get to them, you have to go like not 4. I think that's even too small. Like a number of hours, like remote, where there are like no dwellings, like in order to do it. So, and this one just happens to be a national park, so I think there's a little more probably structure around it, because oftentimes the parks have services and stuff. But yeah, I picked a place called, well, I picked a place in France called Dordogne, I think that's what it's called. And it's on the Dordogne River. I have no clue. I might be butchering this pronunciation. And it's like you can take a ride on the river, and then there's this whole like cliff, castle in a cliff, and like a town in a cliff. And it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's one of those things that I kind of like marvel at what humans are capable of.
That's so cool.
Right?
That reminded me of when one of my favorite places in France, although I didn't vibe with France as I said, was there's this place called Saint Malo, which is like this little town on the coast of France. It's not really little; it's like a city more. And their like whole vibe, if I recall correctly, was pretty much like we're like literally in their history too. They were like, we're not like a part of France, like we're our own place. And it was very much the attitude of like, screw you, we're our own place, we're gonna do our own thing. And I appreciated that. And it was just, and it's at the same time it was beautiful because it's like on the coast. There's like these little cobblestone paths to like walk to stores and stuff, and then like a rich history. So that just reminded me of that.
Yeah. Fun fact. I don't know if you know this. I heard it on NPR one time and it like blew my mind. Like a lot of the cobblestone stuff in Europe, where you'll see like these beautiful like little cottages and cobblestone stuff, like aren't actually historical real things. They're literally put there for the tourism industry. And I don't know if this applies to the place that you're talking about, but like when I learned that, I was like, what? But like they will invest in making things look like a certain aesthetic in order to, because it makes people want to go there. It's so crazy. Right, so I've kind of been in the US and Europe so far because, and it's, for those, it's felt a little familiar, right? Like things that are a little closer to home. But then like there's just some areas of the world that get, I feel like, less attention from me. And so I tried to look into those. And one of them was, okay, I have to spell this. It's the first two letters are NG. So be my guest in terms of how to pronounce this. But it's spelled Ngorongoro. Ngorongoro crater in Tanzania. And it's this beautiful like watering hole. It's a massive crater, and there's just so much wildlife there. It's like a wide open space. You get all sorts of different vegetation because it's Africa, and it's none of the same kind of stuff that you would see here. And everything about it, it looks it's straight out of the Lion King, idyllic. And that's a place that would make me feel small because it reminds me of all of the, kind of the way that humans may be the species that has kind of taken over, but there's so much other wildlife out there, and just to like be amidst such or at least viewing from afar, a safe distance, like such a large population of like other creatures that I have no way of communicating with even. So like different things there, that's nuts to me. Okay. This place, when I saw the picture of it that's in the book, I immediately just went like, that's like Garden of Eden, like is what I immediately thought of. It's just like fertile and beautiful and wild and untamed. And it's called Simeon Mountains National Park. And it's in Ethiopia. Like looking out over it and being like so high up and just being able to look down on this like lush valley. There's something about it, man. I don't know how you stand amidst the clouds and not just say, wow, I'm mini.
Yeah, everyone take a second and picture Stephen at the top of like at the peak of one of these mountains with his arms up in the air going, wow.
I don't know why the word trust just came into my head, but like being on top of a mountain and just seeing the like solid earth under you and everything, and all of it spreading out below you, that just makes me feel like trust and safe for like the safe with the world, you know. That doesn't make sense at all, but there's something about it that makes me feel very grounded in that moment.
Right. No, I totally get it, because it goes back to the whole of what you were saying at the beginning about what, or at least how you in particular, I'm sure a few other people out there are using their time during the pandemic is to like connect with because like we can't travel right now. So going to like nearby places that you haven't seen before, and especially if they're natural places, like connecting with it's always good to have the reminder. And in my case, even it's just sitting in my backyard, thankfully, of like just being like, cool, like we're here, like this is the foundation of what this planet is, not all this stuff that we've built on top of it for how we're supposed to work, and everything that's normal. I'm doing air quotes for those of you listening. But that's the foundation of even us, of like us as a species and all the other species that are here, is that we're just like on this planet that's just solid earth and like rock and dirt. And it's like, so I get how that could be, like how that gives a feeling of security and comfort of just being like,
yes,
all this other stuff that's going on is kind of made up. This is what's real.
Yeah, and then there's like the whole duality of it, like in that, like it makes me feel grounded, but at the same time I want to like fly it through that open space, and you know, it makes me feel so secure and comforted, but also like it could kill me like that, and like it's wild, man.
Yay, Earth.
Okay, I think the next two that make me feel small, two things that could make me feel small. One, I put like Beijing in there, a city, because there's something about Eastern cultures that is so different and absolutely confusing to me, just because my frame of reference is only, you know, like East Coast of North America or of the United States of America. And so to be able to like step into like a totally different culture like that, and two, just like a sea of people, because there are so many people, and I don't like crowds and things like that. So I have a feeling I wouldn't necessarily like it a lot, in the same way that you were saying you didn't love the metro in France. But I do think that if I could go there and like be like a specter floating above the crowd and just like looking at everyone, I think that would make me feel small, right? Seeing the sea of people that I can't understand, that I like verbally, that I also like can't understand because I haven't lived their culture. That would be something that would just expand my idea of what's possible. And then I would really love to go to the Forbidden City and all that stuff. I've always been obsessed with like books about castles and magic and knights and mysteries and like ancient stuff. And that, yeah, like Magic Treehouse, that was my jam when I was a kid. I loved that. Yeah. I also put the pyramids because I've never seen them. The desert is like just a type of terrain that I can picture, but I can't imagine, if that makes sense.
No, yeah. I'd be like, what would it be like if I was in the desert? And I was like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. I can't even imagine, like, it's so easy to say, like, I know what that looks like. Mm-hmm. But if you haven't been there, it's so hard to say, I know what that feels like, smells like, tastes like it probably tastes like sand, but like still it's so different from where I live and from what I feel and what I do. And that just amazes me. But the pyramids themselves, one, they're like size, right? They're physical size of them. That is something that would make me feel what?
Yeah, that would make you feel small.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. But then two, it sounds like you like Magic Tree House too. Like, do you ever just feel like ancient things like ancient mysteries? Do those ever make you feel small?
Ancient mysteries.
I'm not phrasing this question correctly. like when there is something.
Yeah, I think I get. I didn't really read the Magic Tree House, but I can think of my own equivalent. I think.
Oh, gotcha.
So I read like a few, but not. It wasn't completely my jam. I think I got what you were saying though, of just like stuff from ancient history that like we aren't like sure about, kind of.
Yeah, something that like it's
Actually happened.
to me, like there's Europe, which like it's been there for thousands of years, and it's been like, you know, at least the Western version of like civilized and all this stuff. But then there's things that are like there's a difference between like been there for 1,000 years and ancient.
Mm-hmm.
And like ancient things make me feel small because like I can't even fathom what the world looked like going back that far in time, or like I don't know, man. Wow, it's crazy.
And he's feeling it right now. No, I totally get it. Like I think of that sometimes too. I think of it, but even in a modern context sometimes, of like I'm only 22, but even I'm like, we're in the year 2020. Whoa, like that's like crazy that it's been, because it's not even that, it's just that the planet's been around for like 2020 years. It's that it's been around even longer than that, and we don't even know what happened before we started like naming these, or like we kind of do maybe, but then even that, like with history, it's like maybe we know what happened, but also we probably don't. Yeah. I mean,
this is one of those that I love doing what we're doing right now, which is like inarticulately freaking out about something that makes us really excited, but like having no idea what words to use. Like that's what I mean. That's exactly what I think all of these places would make me feel. Just like this.
Because it's you're like, I don't know what to. Oh my god, it froze on him making that face. That's great. When you said Beijing, it reminded me that I really want to go to Japan, especially like Tokyo. Like I'd love to go there. I don't know why too, because like it the only thing I can equate it to where I've been before is like Times Square, of like standing in the middle of Tokyo with like all the lights and everything.
Times Square, but the whole city is Times Square.
That's kind of what it feels like. Also, too, I've seen Big Hero 6 of San Francisco, I think.
I love that movie.
Those are on my list, too. And Ireland, which I'm jealous that you've been to Ireland. What else did I say? California. Specifically, probably like around like LA and stuff. And then I think, too, I just kind of like, I think Greece would be cool. And again, my point of reference for that is like Mamma Mia, but but like I don't know, Greek culture seems cool. Also too, I took this like world music class a few years ago as part of my music minor, and we each had to pick a diaspora, and I said that weird, diaspora. The diaspora I picked was like Greek, because I never think really about Greek culture. So, and it really was just like the assignment that was that we had to like go to like a restaurant or something and like talk about what it was like, and if there was music playing. I don't think they were playing any music when I went, so it was a tough assignment. But other than that, it was like cool, because it was like even just that of like, that's another culture that I haven't experienced, and here's like a tiny way in which I was able to.
Yeah.
I think of that a lot, especially with like restaurants. Like, I don't know if I've ever had Thai food before.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. Or India is another one. I want to go to India for like a Holi like festival. That'd be cool.
So I've kind of like I focused a lot on like natural areas that I want to like see, just like grand landscapes that I would take in. That's kind of like what this list is. I think like there are totally other lists for like culture festivals. What?
Yeah. Or even just like cities versus like natural like landmarks and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, because a question I had for you was, well, before I forget, the food thing. Yeah,
Mhm.
my girlfriend and I, we like trying different cultures' foods, and so like before when she was in school, she went to school not near me. I, you know, I wasn't able to do that as much with her, but whenever she's home, we love getting Indian food. Um, we like getting like Eastern foods, like Chinese, Japanese, or whatever. But we've tried Ethiopian food because there's a place like relatively close to her house, and that was wild. Like I don't know what to say about it because I've only had it once and it was like so different and weird and it nearly burned my tongue off. But like it was awesome. It was so cool. And so that's a whole different way of experiencing the world. It's like
Yeah.
through food. The question I had for you was like when you think of places you want to travel, like I in my list kind of I guess I search for that wow moment. What what is it for you that makes it California and Greece and the other one that you said India.
Yeah, I feel like in terms of just general, when I think of places that I want to go, it's usually just, which I think this is probably how most people would look at it, I would guess. I don't know. I think it's just that kind of thing of just feeling like pulled to certain places. And just even like, and we've talked a lot in this episode about like not fully understanding like other cultures, and but kind of like as I relate kind of with I've always appreciated Asia and like always felt drawn to like Asian cultures.
Yep.
And I can't explain why. I don't really know why, but like and then I just look at who I am as a person now and know that probably like I consider myself very spiritual, and the spiritual practices over there seem to line up more with my beliefs than maybe the ones that are more dominant in the country I'm in. And so to like go and experience those different cultures and different like religions even would be interesting. And then to just like the different terrains and like environments of even just like cities where other humans live, never mind like where like other creatures live too, would be cool. And then also too, I think just like along with the culture thing, like you said, I do like I appreciate theater for the same reason of how it builds the muscle of empathy. And I think that's the same sort of thing, because really ultimately like I'd kind of be down to go anywhere, like at all.
Yeah.
But there are just certain ones that I feel like pulled to. I guess that's my buzzword, is pull.
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Stephen, for
Thank you, Katie.
being one of my guests. Do you want to plug something perhaps for a second time?
Oh yeah. Go to I'll do two shameless plugs. Go to YouTube and subscribe to the channel Famous Secret Agent. It's going to be our new channel coming out on October 1st. And if you can't seem to find it, you could also go to www.stephenzubricki.weebly.com. And there's a way to go straight to the subscribe button from that site. And it's also, you can look at pictures of me. So that just truly is what it is. So yeah, we're really excited. We're working really hard, and we'll be up and running on October 1st.
Yeah. Subscribe to Famous Secret Agent and look at pictures of Stephen.
More the first than the second.
More the first and the second. And sign up for the mailing list. Cool. Ditto for me. Same thing. I'm plugging the same thing. Other than, of course, this podcast, which will be on said channel and is on SoundCloud every week. That's it. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you,
Katie.
Thank you for listening and or watching. Bye.